Awesome. It does show us on our YouTube and Facebook platforms. All right, well, I'll go ahead and get us kicked off and started. Good morning and happy Valentine's Day to all of you that are celebrating at some point today, or if you don't and you celebrated Valentine's Day instead this last weekend, I hope you had a great weekend or great day today that's planned. Happy Monday. We're starting off the week fresh with another one of our elected officials at the city level. Of course, Mondays are designed to give you an update on what's going on in terms of our city, updates that they have, resources that are available, and of course, from our city councilor's perspective on some things that are pressing or important for you to be aware of. Now, if it is your very first time on our page, whether you're watching this in the morning, afternoon, evening, on a lazy Sunday or weekend, thank you for tuning in and chiming into our live broadcast. A great way for us to know if you ever did watch this or engaged with us is by giving us a hashtag replay in the comment section of this video. We'll be able to pull that up quickly. And if you end up asking a question, we can find that a lot quicker when you give us that hashtag right before it. Of course, if you are already tuned in with us on this bright sunny morning, then I want to thank you for fitting this into your schedule, for also being a part of our broadcast that we've been holding for about 2 years now. Many of those videos can be found here on our Facebook page and, of course, our YouTube channel for you to binge watch at any point in time. Now, there are two asks that I want of each of you that are tuned in. The first is for you to hit the share button on this video so others in your network can see that we're live, can also engage and be a part of this discussion. And then the second is for you to react in some way to the video. Now, we appreciate the hearts and the thumbs up, but you can also give us comments or any questions along the way as we touch on a number of things. And if we didn't touch on something that you were hoping that we would, you can also mention that in the chat so we can get to that as well. Now, a great way for you to get notified when we go live into the future is by not only liking the page or following our YouTube channel, but it's actually by subscribing to either the channel or following the page directly. And what we've been doing is a few days in advance of the broadcast, we actually post the video. If you tap the Get Reminder button, it pops up on your screen without you even having to be on Facebook and notifies you that there's a video. Drop what you're doing and go tune in. Now, I already see a couple of folks with us this morning. Parker Brown, one of our board members, is giving a good morning message to both the councilor and myself. We also have Dave Carpenter also giving a good morning. What's this Valentine's Day of which you speak? There's a whole history around this. If you Google it, Dave, you'll find various iterations of that and what it is. But I always say every day is a day to express your love for another person. It should not just be isolated to one day, although personally, I always like the influx of just, chocolates and flowers and all that good stuff. It's a warm and fuzzy feeling. Now, I also see our current chairman, Brian Dice, is tuned in with us, giving a good morning to both Councilor Seymour and myself. Also thanking you for hopping onto the broadcast with us to let us know what's going on, of course, here in the city. We know that our councilors are in this position completely voluntary, really, and they have other lives and other hats. And so for them to allow for a quick 30 minutes, it's like, no way, what other hats? A quick 30 minutes really means a lot to our community. And of course, we also have another business owner of ours, Christine. Thank you for tuning in, and happy Valentine's Day to you. I saw some of the fun stuff that your restaurant was doing for all those reservations. So hopefully you had a great turnout around that. Now, I also have with me my guest today, Councilor Seymour, who has a number of things to touch on. So I'll quit my rant and turn it over to you to update our guests.
Thanks, Juliet, and happy Valentine's or whatever. We're going to have to talk, Mr. Carpenter, about that. So the Customer Appreciation Day at the Rec Center. So Valentine's Day, and you can get your workout in before you go shove chocolates in your face. So all the Westminster Rec Centers are free today. Wanted to touch on quickly this time of year, especially when we get in this repeating snow pattern. We have some of our residents that just can't get their walks cleared in a timely fashion, and so they need our assistance. And Westminster residents are incredible volunteers. Without our volunteers, many things would not be the same in our city. So greatly appreciated. Hundreds of thousands of volunteers hours every year, but one in particular right now is the Snowbusters program, where residents can volunteer to help someone who is unable to clear their sidewalks. And you can go to Volunteer Westminster, and Juliet's put a link in there too, so I appreciate that. And on that page too, if the Snowbuster program is not something that works for you, there's all kinds of opportunities there, and we absolutely love, appreciate, and value our Westminster volunteers. Little update, last week, busy, we had a Monday night study session and a special meeting on a first reading that was passed. But on Tuesday, we had two separate issues. So council kind of split up and went physically one direction and the other one was Zoom. There was a opening of the new Aspire apartments in the new downtown, but more importantly, it was an update on some of the items that are getting ready to open down there. The food hall is waiting final preparation. That is in the south side of that Aspire, and we're looking at, got to meet Mark Shanker, who some of you know has been contracted for this food hall. He is famous for his Stanley Marketplace in Aurora. If you have not been there, give it a try. And also his new, a year and a half ago, his Golden food hall that has been extremely successful also. So he's looking at getting in there and hopefully getting that done. So it's going to be quite an undertaking, especially with supply chain issues, but get that open while the weather's still warm, and it'll open up to the great square there. So looking at 6 vendors, and it'll be a great opportunity. Families can go there. There'll be one card that you can get, and you can put it all on that card instead of going spot to spot, and then parents can manage what their kids are buying on the other end. So and then things are moving forward there too. Tonight, council meeting, second Monday of the month. So we've got a full agenda on there. It's if you go to cityofwestminster.us page, you can link into it down at the bottom. The first item is Westminster Economic Development Authority, which is the council will review a sale opportunity to Marzak's Fine Foods, selling them the old bank building, the old U.S. bank building that's down there. It's on a little wedge that is off in the corner, and we're looking at that as an economic opportunity for them to come in and completely redo that spot, plus add on to it and be a partner. So there'll be a grocery, Fine Foods, and I hear they sell a little bit of wine too. So that's a thought on that one there. So we'll be looking at that. Council will be looking at that. Then on the council agenda, collective bargaining discussion and vote for our police department. It will be, we had a presentation last week during study session. It is almost exactly the same, just changing titles and doing updates that our fire department worked into a few years ago after citizens vote. Voting on that tonight. Also, we'll be voting to allow a grant application to federal highway funds for $1.8 million from the Fed for 2025. And so many of you know that federal highways in our city dissect us north to south: Federal Boulevard, Sheridan, Wadsworth Parkway. And so those interactions of those dollars are critical to making our traffic flow. So we don't want to miss out on those opportunities. Second readings, 3 second readings that are coming up tonight. And second readings make it, if there's not a unanimous vote on first reading, then they come in as a second reading. If it is unanimous, then they come in as part of our consent agenda. So that's how those pop up. So we'll be looking at second reading on rezoning of Semper Gardens, which is the 4th and Sheridan, south of the rec center, across the 104th Church Ranch there. Also, the second reading on rezoning the streets around what's known as the Uplands project, so that those streets can be updated and take them out of unincorporated Adams County and make them part of the city, so that we can, as part of that project, update curbs, gutters as we go through that project. And then also regards to the Uplands, there was a request to change the contract date. Council from over a year ago had set a date that the contract had to be done. Well, we took an extended look at the Uplands. We had multiple nights of meetings of that, and as we should have, so that we could get as much comment as possible. And so they asked for, can we extend the date to February 24th so that we can get that deed filed. And so that is a second reading on that vote too. After council, our post meeting is we will continue our conversation on water rates. What's the best rate that we can look at as far as best value for our residents, and still provide quality drinking water and an upgraded system. So we're going to continue that with some modeling that staff has put together, an incredible spreadsheet that allows us to do modelings and what ifs and capital improvement dollars and the whole thing. So we have to make sure our bonding is still secure. We have to make sure that we have adequate rate, but also what's going to be also reasonable for our residents too. So we're going to proceed through that in the study session afterwards, and then later in the week we'll also have a water roundtable. We've invited in 2 former city managers, some public works managers, public works director from Fort Collins, I believe, on their system. So we're going to just kind of a holistic approach, and then input also from our current public works and utilities director and their staff too. So, let's take a whole look up and down the Front Range. What's the same, what's different, and so that we have a big water week again. It seems to be never ending, but we want to get this right, and we want to do right by our residents, and then make sure that we have safe, clean, and reasonably priced drinking water. Wednesday is special permits and licensing. I'm the liaison to that board. That's a great board to serve on because you get to find out where the new restaurants are going to be. And so that's on Wednesday evening. Not all of our boards and commissions are direct streamed right now, but the council has put in a budget that came out of COVID that we want to make those available all the time. The key there is some of the technology has to be updated, and some of the technology, because of supply streams, we've been having a hard time getting parts for Channel 8 to get that back on the air for our residents that use Comcast. So that's all coming as transparent as we can get it, and then eventually have a system where we can take even take all of it on the road and not have to have 3 technicians that are there to run that and keep it going. So looking forward to that. Also on Wednesday this week, I'm going to put in a shameless plug. Westminster Rotary is now the combination of the Westminster Original Club that used to meet at noon and the Westminster 710. We have combined back together after years. We invite residents, local business owners, nonprofits to come visit us at the ranch on Thursday mornings at 7 a.m. Always bugging Juliet to do that. She's such an early riser now that I'm looking forward to seeing her there for breakfast, but come be my guest. But also there too, Westminster Rotary does an incredible work in our community, raising money for the Westminster Rotary Foundation. 2 big items that are coming up. Great events we hold every year now that we're back in real time. March 12th is our annual Bocce. Bocce, depends on what part of the country or country world you're from, is March 12th at the Indoor Rec Center on Westminster Boulevard. You can go to westminsterrotary.org and sign up for that, put teams together or a couple people and we'll team you up. That is a great day. And you get to enjoy pizza and beer from Coca-Cola Brewing. So if that's not a draw there, come out and throw some bocce. What's going on that? And then our incredible annual event where we raise money for CASA of the 17th District and our Rotary Foundation annual celebrity roast. This year we will be roasting none other than former judge and former Westminster Mayor Ed Moss. And it is going to be a terrific evening, Thursday, April 14th, 5:30. Go to our website. There are sponsorship opportunities available, tables available, individual seats. But you do not want to miss this. If you don't think there's any dirt available on a judge, come out and see it. He's retired now, so he can be harassed. And one of the roasters is probably one of the funniest people that I know, Don Quick, currently a judge in the 17th and former district attorney. I'm putting a lot of pressure on Don. That is going to be absolutely side-splitting. So come out and support the great work of CASA and then the fantastic work of the Rotary Foundation in our community.
That's awesome. So you just rattled off a ton of things, which is always great for us to kind of be able to recap for all of you that are hopping on. I see Lucy and Joe and several others. We have with us Councilor Seymour that is a part of our broadcast today, giving updates on city events, news that's coming up, agenda items for council, committees throughout the week, and then of course that shameless plug for one of our area nonprofits that does so much, our Rotary Club. So I've tried my best to capture a lot of those comments in the chat section, and now's the time that I get to kind of go back through and comb them and get more information for all of our viewers. First off, I do see, let's see here, a quick comment that came from one of our past chairman, Brian Head, giving us a good morning message to Councilor Seymour and myself. Thank you for tuning in. And also thank you for correcting how I spelled bocce. There's no autocorrect on this side. So appreciate that, right? I tried to phonetically. That was exactly how I spelled it, phonetically. This question does come to us from Parker, Councilor Seymour, and one of the things you talked about was that this week there would be a roundtable, water roundtable, that really has some regional partners that come in, some experts, past and even present, other experts in water, experts in just kind of city leadership and management. Is this water roundtable something that is going to be open to the public? Will it be streamed, or how is this going to be handled?
It is open to the public. It will be at the City Park Rec Center in the big room there. And so, yeah, all of our meetings are open to the public. And so since it is an agendized item, I do not know yet. I'll have to check. We'll announce that tonight if we're going to stream that video or audio or both. So I'll have to reach out and see. I'll send out a text right now and see what's going on.
Yes, and hopefully we'll get back to you within this time frame. If we don't, we'll still circle back to you before that meeting, so you guys are aware of how to tune in and how to engage with that. So great question, Parker. Thank you for that. A lot of things on the radar, of course, on City Council's meeting agenda that's scheduled out for this evening. That agenda, once again, can be found on their website for you. I'll just quickly pull that up. That's City of Westminster, not that one, .us/agendas. We also touched on the Snowbusters, that program that is voluntary community members kind of coming together to clean up our community. The link directly to that application is actually included in here. There's so many websites that you can kind of go through all those pages. We've simplified it. This takes you directly to that application to fill out for that Snowbusters program if you or someone you know are interested in that. Rotary, I do have to say, I know I still haven't made it to an AM, although I am now an early bird. So one of these weeks I will take you up on being your guest. But I have supported those two events that you referenced. So the tournament is fun to go out there and watch, even if you are not playing, just to be able to see kind of the intensity, but also the camaraderie out there. It's always such a great time. And then the roast as well is something that's quite entertaining in an evening format. And it's just nice to be around those community-minded residents that are here and around. Now, last week, you also had the opportunity of touring the Aspire apartments that were here. So I'll ask you, are those apartments primarily normal apartments? Are they comprised of affordable housing and normal kind of rental income, or do you know the specifics of that?
They are market rate. Now I know I'll get the total number wrong. There are 30 workforce units in there, and then the balance are market rate. It is a incredibly well done. Many amenities that are all included in that. Especially they've also built in smart technology into that. So, and they give you an Echo Dot when you move in, so you can tell it to turn your lights on, turn your lights off, what time is it, what's the temperature, important stuff like that. So,
right. I think I have one somewhere over here. Not gonna happen. But I do have it, and it's there if I want to feel like I'm in this 21st century that we're in. The food hall is also an exciting update on that. And you mentioned there are 6 vendors that are going in there. Have all 6 of them already been selected and vetted, or is that kind of the idea is to have 6 and they're still working through that?
They're still working through that. There's a few of them that are pending, and so I won't throw that out there. There's also going to be space nearby that, so complementary space. It's similar to what up in Golden is that the food hall that he put together up there. There are complementary restaurants that came in that, you know, it's like when you put like type of businesses together, they feed off of each other. It's not competitive. It just brings in that grouping of people, and so we're probably going to see that in some of the retail units around that area too. And so I think it will just add flavor to the new downtown. It will complement Famille that's there in the Origin. It'll complement Tap and Burger because it will just give us a greater flow in that standpoint too. If you go down, one's busy, you've got more to choose from. The food hall will have a liquor license, and they will have a wall of beverages, so you can get anything in a tap now. So they'll have wine, they'll have spirits, mixed drinks, and that'll be another section over there, pay as you go from a beverage wall. So that'll complement the other 6 vendors. And they're trying to find what's the right mix for there, and how can we do that. I've heard rumors it's either in there or a complementary one is Denver Biscuit Company, but that's just a rumor at this point too. And so,
well, we won't spread it, but we'll hold on to that potential fact. And
I'll be waiting down there.
Right. If you have gone to Golden, it is a pretty cool concept. It's those walls are by the ounces, so you end up kind of filling up, and you kind of give them your card. It connects to a card that they provide you, and it's a fun way to do it. It took me a second, but I eventually figured it out. And the cool thing about it is that you can loop in all sorts of beverages. So they even have like non-alcoholics and, you know, ciders and just everything in between. So it'll definitely be a welcome addition here. I will give a quick plug because I know this is something we talked about right before we aired. the same time that our counselor was touring Aspire and what was going on, the City of Westminster's police department had held a anti-theft, car theft seminar. So for about an hour in the evening, there was an outreach campaign last week on the 8th, and it was for free for you to tune in. But I tuned in, and the information that they provided was just, it was so eye-opening. I always love whenever they give an explanation behind things, so, because often we see, okay, there's car thefts, what's being done? Nothing's being done about that. And there's actually a lot of work that's being done on the backside. And they a lot of times know who is the one that's doing that and who's continually repetitive in that behavior. So it was a really nice eye-opening discussion. And then just some of the takeaways, which we'll post on here a little bit later for you to kind of keep in mind. But those things of, no puffing, so don't turn on your car and leave it there, or leave valuables visible, some of those basic things that we don't really think about. I loved this one, and it also made me think through it. Like, I had to go to my car and fix this immediately. And that was your registration paper. So you need that via Colorado law. You should have that registration paper in your car, but you can actually remove the top of that and just keep where it shows that you're a valid registration, and not show that you're at where your address is. So that way, whoever does steal your car doesn't not only steal your car, but now also have where you live. So that was like a huge one for me, that I was like, oh my gosh, this is something that I can quickly do. I also see Reggie. Thank you, Reggie, for tuning in to the broadcast with us. This question came to us from, and I see Mayor Pro Tem DeMont is hopping on, giving us a quick good morning our way. Brian is quickly asking you what some issues the city is facing right now, and maybe how residents or businesses might be able to help with those. So are there any that kind of quickly come to mind? I know we touched a little bit about those volunteer programs that you have a need for right now.
I think one of the biggest issues, something that I very much pay attention to, is that in relation to the Tuesday meeting about car theft, it's absolutely important right now, because we are seeing unprecedented levels of crime. 2020 brought chaos to our neighborhoods. It was a matter of county sheriffs not being able to accept prisoners because of COVID concerns at that point, and then some legislative issues that came up that have hampered our police and our sheriffs and our district attorneys. And so we need to protect ourselves. We need to make sure that our houses are locked, our cars are locked. We're not leaving our keys in there. We're not leaving valuables in our car wherever we are. Unfortunately, this is something that's directly out of the control of city government, but we are pressing hard to work with our sheriffs. Our police officers and staff are very frustrated. I heard a story this morning in Denver. There was a resident that had been arrested 6 times for car theft. So we need to work as a society to find out how is the best way for us to get control back, and so that we're not a lawless society. And unfortunately, it's going to take a while, and it's going to take it's going to take a lot of cooperation from the sheriffs, police, DAs, and more importantly, our legislature has to come and help us on this too. So there were some changes in 20 and 21 that I believe hurt us, hurt our residents, and now there was a conscious decision to make property crimes very low level. Well, when someone loses property or their property is damaged, it's not low level to them. It's costly. Yes, they may have insurance, but then that raises the cost for everyone if we're not holding people accountable in the society. I could go on for 2 hours on this topic, but you can follow me on Twitter if you want to hear daily updates on that.
Right, if you want to hear updates, or if you do have any questions or curious about what are some of those policies or things that have gone into place and created that perfect storm of the environment that we now have around law enforcement, feel free to touch base with Councilor Seymour or us offline, so we can be able to help explain that a little bit more clearly and let you all know what's going on. But one last thing on that, a lot of those people that do experience those property thefts are not insurance, so they don't have an opportunity to cover that. And for many people, cars are their way of getting to places, getting to work, and trying to better their livelihood. So it's a full circle in how they're impacted, and where we can try and support them as best as possible through that process. But thank you so much for commenting that, Councilor. I don't see any additional questions, believe it or not. We've done a great job of keeping this in a 30-minute window with all of this information. Wednesday is the liquor board meeting, of course, to hear updates on restaurants that are coming through, or additions to existing facilities that may be now offering those licenses, or now offering liquor and seeking those licenses. Or special events and programs. And then, of course, this evening is a lengthier agenda for all of you that are interested. You can still go out in person, you can tune in virtually, and engage with the council. There is opportunity for public comments, of course, at those meetings, unless otherwise specified on the agendas that are posted in advance. This question does come from our Mayor Pro Tem, and he's really hitting you right there hard, isn't he? He's asking you if you'll be wearing a tie tonight, and if so, if it'll be red or have anything indicative of Valentine's Day.
No, and I already have it picked out unless my wife vetoes it. Yes, Mayor Pro Tem, I'll be wearing a tie tonight. And updates, Thursday, one of our fabulous staff, Assistant City Manager Cody Blueherb, texted me that the Thursday's water roundtable will be on YouTube, and that link will be posted today. So, and I don't know if I'm wearing a tie for that. Stay tuned.
Well, at least one time a week, I think, is sufficient. But that answers your question, Parker. The water roundtable will be on YouTube. Please stay tuned for that link once that is generated by the city. And the last quick update, if you guys have not already seen, last week we announced that very same evening, as soon as Jeffco Public Health had met and had done away with the mask mandate, that was no longer required. So now, effectively, here in the city of Westminster, since we're on both Adams and Jeffco, there is not an indoor mask requirement for those businesses. Now, that does not discourage people that are comfortable wearing a mask. Of course, I still want to reiterate that to you. You are more than welcome to continue wearing those into any place of business that you so choose to go to. And if there is a business that chooses to, of course, uphold having a mask on or wearing that, of course, you also have to be mindful and respectful of that business. And if it's not a comfort to you, whether it's wearing the mask or not wearing the mask, please do go elsewhere where you can be supportive of someone who's supportive of your individual needs as well. So I just want to end on that note. Of course, you have that flexibility and opportunity, but to allow for you to know of that change by both those health departments. With that, Councilor Seymour, thank you so much for being part of our broadcast today. I always appreciate the time with you, and I think everyone that has tuned in and engaged reflects that as well. So I appreciate each and every one of you, and hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you very much.